I'll answer the question. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome to The Bearded Truth, hosted by David C. McGuire. In a world that seeks to redefine and domesticate manhood, The Bearded Truth is here to restore biblical manhood with biblical truth.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to this episode of The Bearded Truth. Of course, I'm your host, David C. McGuire. My pleasure, no, not just that, my honor to be here to serve you. All right. The show, like, geared toward biblical manhood, restoring it, right? But it's not just for men, especially today's show. So if you're going over this and you're a female, stop what you're doing. All right, tune in. You need to tune in, women. This is a show dedicated, and men cannot be biblical men without the woman playing a part in it. Now, we can discuss singleness and all that, but the biblical model for normative life, in other words, God's design, God's desire, okay, is marriage. All right, one man, one woman to be married. Okay, so no, singleness is an exception, and it is hardly the rule. Hey, if that offends you, I'm just trying to do what God speak to you, teach you what God says. Now, real quick, let me pause. All right, so this is The Bearded Truth, so which this goes out on audio podcasts. All right, now later on tonight, I'm giving a prophecy. So I'm prophesying at 9 p.m. Central on the main show, which is Restore with David C. McGuire. So The Bearded Truth is a subset of that show, in case you don't know. And I can rhyme. Hey. Anyways, and so I'm going to give a prophecy that you don't want to miss. All right. If you want to play a part in preventing World War III, and I'm not, saying that to get likes and clicks. Okay. This is just the truth. Then you need to listen to the prophecy I'm going to give at 9 p.m. Central tonight. Of course, you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on X. You can watch it on Rumble live. Okay. That's for our live stream. No more on Facebook, because Facebook has decided for some odd reason to delete videos older than 30 days for some, I don't know why, but they are. So then I will no longer live stream on Facebook. It's just fine with me. So anyway, getting into the subject of man, the warrior. Now, we are all men, women, whoever is saved, whoever's a Christian, right, is considered to be a soldier. However, the idea of warrior, this idea of fighting, this idea of defending, is given primarily to the man, like it or not. It is a man's duty. It is a man's responsibility. Welcome to everybody who's hopping on right now. Let me know where you're watching from. All right, let me know who's watching. Put it in the chat, put it in the comments. But it is primarily given to the man. It was Adam's responsibility, for instance, to stand guard and stand watch over the garden and to instruct his wife. Now, there is we see it recorded where God gives Adam instructions. It is not, however, recorded where God gives Eve instructions. And I fully believe it's for a good reason, right? I don't believe there is any single mistake in the Bible. And it was Adam's responsibility to instruct Eve in God's commands. Now, we don't know exactly what was said or unsaid, but we can infer from Satan tempting Eve, right, that Adam alone, he didn't instruct her properly. And that is part of what led to the fall. It was Adam going passive. Welcome, Casey, for good over there on YouTube. Welcome. So anyway, So it was Adam, right? Now I've been reading Derek Prince and I've been listening to a lot of him. So I just want to, I'm not always going to say, well, Derek Prince said, if I sound like it, well, I just want to give credit to him. I've been listening to a lot of what he's had to say on these topics. And I fully agree with it, but it's in the Bible. So if I sound similar, also I'm not plagiarizing anybody. I mean, you can't plagiarize the Bible and the Holy Spirit, right? But Adam was guilty, and many men are. This is part of the curse that we don't talk about, is a sin of omission. I'm going to call it the unspoken curse. In other words, God did not specifically tell Adam, hey, you're going to struggle with being passive. You're going to struggle with not taking action. Okay. You're going to struggle with not being proactive. Okay. He didn't tell him that. However, I fully believe that men today, so all of us across the world, race, religion, creed, you name it, culture, all men across the world, because we know that the Bible says that from Adam, right, sin came to all. So this covers all men. So yes, if you don't believe in the concept of original sin, I got nothing for you. But we all, if we're honest with ourselves, we can be honest. We all struggle with passivity, right? We don't want to be proactive. Many men today, we see it in households all over the place. But in the West, we see this passivity very predominant in a different way than other parts of the world. But we see this, for instance, where the man can be present. He can be home, I'm sorry, but not present, right? We see men, for instance, also working long hours as a way of trying to validate them or just stay away from home. And they maybe they don't have a happy marriage. They don't have a happy home life. And so they work extra long hours, or they can be there and they, tune in to the football game. Now, I'm not saying football games or if, men also like to play video games, or I'm not saying these things are evil. I'm saying they become evil. Hear me out. Whether it's movies, show, whatever it is, golf, okay, poker with the guys, whatever you have, becomes sinful when it becomes a priority in life. So priority, here's how it should go. Men, listen up. Women, listen up. According to God, and we see this throughout the Bible, we see it especially expounded upon in places like Ephesians chapter 5. We'll look at that in a second. But the priority is always God first. God comes first above every person, no matter what, period, the end. Then comes family, and then everything else. So let's break that down even further then. What does that look like within the godly family, what some may call the nuclear family? The godly family, here's what it is. Ready for it? God, your spouse, so your husband or your wife, and then the children. So anytime we get that order out of order, so God's designated order, this is God's designated order. Anytime we do this out of order is when things will fall apart. I mean, you could be married, men, but you can have an unhappy marriage. One day, many marriages, for instance, dissolve when the children leave the home. And it might be confusing for some people. Like, I don't get it. How can this happen to this older couple? Because their priority was on the children. So now that their children have left the house, what do they have left? They don't have each other because they didn't make each other that priority as God designed it to be. And men are responsible for that. Okay? We're responsible. Every woe in society we see, this confusion among the generation we see now. Why would this generation be dumb enough to eat Tide Pods? Or why would they think that gender can be, whatever they want it to be, because we men allowed this to happen. So I don't understand what vexes me and what leaves me confounded is when people will look back decades ago and they act like our society was some bastion of what God's design should look like. And here's some harsh truth for you. This all ties together, by the way. So stick with me here. I'm not going off on tangents, or else I'm going to try not to anyways. But we got here not just overnight. We didn't get where we are today in one generation, okay? We know this is another spiritual principle within the Bible, by the way, right? God talks about, what does he say? I will visit the iniquity, how far down the line? Generations down the line, right? To the third and fourth generation. I believe that's what it says in the Bible. Correct me if I'm wrong. So he visits this upon when? So we know that it was generations ago that this started. Think about, I don't know how much you know about this, depending on your age, but I remember, for instance, when pornography magazines were ubiquitous. They were out there in the open. Any person could go up to the magazine. You couldn't buy it, but you could go to the magazine rack and look at them, for instance, as an example. Okay. It was many times men had stacks of these porn mags in their home, and many times they were just out in the open. And I'm not talking about 10, 20 years ago. I'm not talking 30 years ago, and I'm not talking 40 years ago. Even though when I say that, it makes me feel really old because 40 years ago was in the 80s. Anyways, we're talking about going way farther back than that, my friends. We're talking about going into the 50s. So we're going quite far back now. Is not what the Bible says true. We see it play out. And we men failed at our God-given tasks, our God-given assignment, our God-given orders. Okay, if we want to put it in military terms, I'm 20 years Army, so that's the way I think. Okay, but God gave us our marching orders right in the Bible, and we men have failed. And if we can admit it to ourselves, if we want to be honest, because change won't start until we're honest, right? We have failed miserably. We have failed epically. Oh, you're beating me up. What does society look like right now? Why is it that the same-sex marriage was allowed now? Why is all these things? Why are babies being murdered why do you know what crazy number we're up to now? In the tens of millions. Well, those women, they get pregnant by themselves, right? Nobody's out there immaculately conceiving babies. So it was men. We were meant to be warriors. We were meant to be standing guard. Okay, we were meant to be proactive, taking the necessary steps to prevent enemy incursions into our territory. Proactive men, proactive in leading our families in godly values, being proactive in ensuring that we know what our children, for instance, are being exposed to. I mean, how sad is that these kids nowadays walk around with smartphones in school? Now, I don't see the value in that, nor do I see the need in that. All right, when I was growing up, there were no such thing. I mean, cell phones started coming up, but you had to be rich to get one. Guess what? We all survived just fine. If we needed to call our parents, we called it from the school phone. We actually bothered to remember, but anyway, so I promise not to go down rabbit holes. So with this, what are kids looking at? I know what I was exposed to in my youth when I wasn't around my parents. I can't now this was back when just magazines, but now imagine these devices here, okay? And the ability to look at anything at any point in time, anywhere. Do you know what your children are looking at? Well, we're not being proactive. That's why it's allowed. Men, we're supposed to be fighting for our families and for their very welfare, but we're not. We're letting our families down. We're letting society down. Okay. Now we'll get into some other things. And then of course I'll highlight stuff about women as well. But we're going to take a break first, and then we'll be back and we'll continue with this discussion with an ad about TRIVITA. Hey, do you want to get started on your wellness journey? I know I did, and I used TRIVITA products for this. Now, I'm a wounded veteran from Iraq. I got pain problems, I got digestive problems, and TRIVITA products really help me in my daily wellness goals. And they've got products to help you whatever your wellness goals are. It's sleep, even pain, heart, cardiovascular. You need more energy. They got all sorts of products. Check them out. They are a Christian company, and that is important. I don't endorse any company that is not Christian. I know their values. And don't forget, by the way, that they'll give you free shipping on any order over $89, 5 times VITA points on every single order, and a 100% 30-day money-back guarantee if the product or products do not work for you. I trust this company. I've been using their product. Give them a shot. Hey, what can it hurt? Worst comes to worst, it doesn't work and they give you your money back anyways. But check out their products to start on your wellness journey today. So use my affiliate link in the show description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen to get started on your wellness journey today. God bless you. Alrighty, then we're back. That's right, TRIVITA. The QR code is right there on your screen right now. I trust their products. I just ordered my monthly supply today. All right, real quickly though, if the website has been wonky lately, so if that's the case, you can call that number on your screen, 800-991-7116. So call TRIVITA at 1-800-991-7116. All right, use my gift card number, which is on the screen right now. So if you're listening by audio podcast later on, hopefully I can remember to put this in the show notes so you can look there. But the gift card number and my PIN on your screen when you call in, okay, give them that number. And okay, so in case the affiliate link doesn't work, so I'm gonna leave that up on the screen for now while we continue on this topic. So men, we need to be proactive, but the thing is, all right, we need to, and I think this is where a lot of guys, and this is part of the fall, you know, carrying over from the curses, is we're kind of good at times beating the drum about what we're against, and that's fine. There are lots of things we need to be against. There are a lot of things that we need to hate. There's nothing wrong with hate. Okay, hating people is different, but there is such thing as godly hate, by the way. However, I believe it is essential for us to be known for what we're for. Are we for instance, nuclear family? Are we for godly marriage? That can we affirm that marriage is only between one man and one woman for life? That God hates divorce. Okay, that adultery is evil. That pornography addiction, okay, is adultery, and somebody who's living in adultery or living with a pornography addiction is living in sin and has no part in the body of Christ. So we see what I'm saying. So I'm against pornography. I'm against treating women as sex objects. I'm against that kind of thing. I'm against human sex trafficking. But all that doesn't need to be said, because I'm for purity. I'm for sexual purity. I'm for healthy churches, right? So all this other thing that you might see where we have different types of leadership abuse in churches and ministries, right? But I can tell you that I'm for healthy churches. I'm for a plurality of elders. Okay, I am for a pastor, for instance, to be accountable to his elders, not having a bunch of yes men. I'm for being scripturally grounded. I'm for the gifts of the Spirit. I'm for prophecy. I'm for 1 Thessalonians 5, for instance. I'm just giving you some examples. We're not what we could be for. We're for godly entertainment. See what I'm saying? So see, if we're for godly edifying entertainment, we're against things like horror movies and things with sex scenes in it and profanity. See what I'm saying? Why? Because we're for what the Bible tells us to be for. Therefore, if we're for God, right? If we have made the decision, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. If we make that decision, then we're against all the other stuff because we're serving the Lord. All right. And I think that a key ingredient that will glue all of this together, that's often not talked about, that's often easily dismissed, is a word called fear. And not only fear, but of course, the fear of the Lord. Now, worldly fear is a snare. We know that. But the fear of the Lord is something mentioned all throughout the Bible. This idea of the fear of the Lord is not some old covenant, Old Testament idea. Okay. It is ubiquitous to the New Testament. It is prevalent. And not only that is it prevalent, but it is absolutely essential in this new and better covenant that we're in. Now, in Ephesians 5, before Paul addresses this idea of wives submitting to husbands and husbands loving their wives, there's a key ingredient that is a key ingredient to all relationships, to healthy relationships, and especially the healthy families, right? Because this is where it all starts. The churches, the ministries, the workplace, whatever other aspect in life. Okay, society does not hinge upon those things, though some of those things can be absolutely important. Society hinges upon the success or failure of the nuclear family. That's what society hinges upon. Why? Because that's where it starts, right? Our children are going to leave the home one day, and they're going to go, for good or bad, affect the society, the next generation, and so on and so on. I've talked about leaving a legacy. I talked about leaving from the front here on the Bitter Truth. So those are very important things. But how do we do that? Now, depending on your Bible translation, but in Ephesians 5:21, it says here, submitting to one another out of reverence for Christ. Now, so I said the idea of the fear of the Lord is a very prevalent thing. So let me just look up for you. Let's see, get this out of here. Let's see. Let's go to all versions so I can find all versions or not. All right, let's look at. I can't. In all English translations. So I just want to see what your translation might say you might be using. But I told you what the ESV said, and stick with me here. This is all has a reason. If I can get to it, the New King James Version. It's not. I typed in the wrong verse. 5:21. There we go. So hold on 1 second here. I just want to make sure we all get the proper understanding of this, because if we don't, we'll get everything else out of whack. Think of the fear of the Lord as the glue to every human interaction, every part of our life. Our very relationship. That's why it's called the fear of the Lord. It's our relationship with the Lord. New King James Version says submitting to one another in the fear of God. Okay, but either way, whatever translation that you might use, the truth remains the same. And I wanted to just read. So the Greek word used in fear or reverence, depending on your translation, is the same Greek word where we get the word phobia from. Okay, so the Greek word for fear. Now, it's not fear of as in, oh my gosh, God is going to strike me down. But I want to read to you something. This is from Vine's Expository Dictionary of the New Testament Words. And I believe that this really will help cement our understanding of it. So Fear, dread, terror, always with this significance in the four gospels, right? So you see this idea, like I said, is prevalent in the New Testament / covenant, because the word testament is also the same word for covenant, in case you didn't know that. Reverential fear, I love this part, of God as a controlling motive of life. I told you it's the glue, all right, in matters spiritual and moral, not a mere fear of his power and righteous retribution, right? Because that would be the fear of man, and the Bible says that the fear of man is a snare. No, I want you to catch this. Pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you. It says, but a wholesome dread of displeasing him, a fear which banishes the terror that shrinks from his presence. So check that out. So the fear of the Lord doesn't push us away from God, but draws us to him. And it will affect everything we do in life, because we do not want to live our life in a way of displeasing him. Now, how does it all tie together to being a warrior? Easy. Okay. If a general, or we'll start with the top. Let's offend some people. President Trump, right? Commander-in-chief, best commander-in-chief in a very long time, gives the orders to be carried out, right? He's the top dog in the chain of command of the military. And say, for instance, we'll say the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, right? Wonderful Secretary of Defense, will not disobey what Trump gives him. Why? Because he doesn't, well, one out of many things, he doesn't want to displease him. Out of many reasons, okay? Stick with me here. You know, you go down to whatever level you want, you know, private to sergeant, private to lieutenant, sergeant to lieutenant, sergeant to captain, first sergeant, captain, you name it, right? The primary, the best way, men, for us to lead, the best way for us to go about this is that right there. And how God himself, all right, how that looks, our relationship we want, is how we should determine how our relationship is going to look with our wives and with our children. In other words, we don't want to displease God, right? You know, Jesus himself said, if you love me, so not if you fear going to hell, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. That is the motivation. That is a good synopsis right there of the fear of God. If the fear of the Lord is active in our life, then we will live our life in such a way that we do not want to displease him, because we love him so much. And that right there is what clenches it. That right there is how our relationship between our children, all right, and our wives should be. That's how a true warrior lives his life. A true warrior, okay, men want to follow him. He doesn't demand respect, but he earns respect. True warriors earn respect. They don't go around thumping their chest, demanding respect, touting their position. I'm the head pastor. I'm the father. I'm the boss. Look, let me tell you what. If you got to go around doing that, then you're really not. You might be in name, but certainly not in character. And you will end up one day pushing people away from you. Oh, they may follow you for right now, maybe because they want a paycheck or they live under your roof. But you want to drive people to wrath, and you want to become a lonely person one day when you die. Keep doing that. Go around demanding people respect you. All right, that's not the way God works. A true warrior. Look at all the warriors throughout the Bible. Look at the best ones. People wanted to follow them. They didn't go around demanding people follow them. People wanted to, because they displayed this godly character. Don't forget, friends, we are made in the Lord's image. And remember, in the book of Exodus, after the Lord delivers the Israelites from the Egyptians, and they're on the other side, and they start singing a song, one of the things that they mention in there is that the Lord is a warrior and the Lord is his name. Men, that is our identity. That should be how we live out. But we can't do that when we're passive. We can't do that when we're allowing the enemy in the camp. Okay, and we certainly can't do that if we've also gone to the other side of things. All right, what I mean by the other side is if we demand it, because we can go passive or we can go aggressive. Both, when it comes to interpersonal relationships, are bad. Right? We see this outside of the West predominantly in places like the Middle East, right? In Islam. In Islam, men seek to dominate, which is evil. That's part of the curse, though. Remember, in Genesis chapter 3, as God is pronouncing the curse, and it comes to Eve, and it says there, your desire will be for your husband. That's a bad translation, though. Okay? In other words, in the Hebrew, that would mean she is seeking to control her husband. But then God says, but instead, he will dominate you. See, that's part of the curse. The curse is that women want to seek to control, and I'll get to that soon. Just not yet. Hold on a second. But men will seek to dominate. So both are bad. But we see in Ephesians 5:21, remember, being submissive. So the idea of all relationships is submitting to one another. I said the cement, the glue was what? The fear of God. Submitting to one another in the fear of God. So we'll explain that more on the other side of the break. And here's a word about covenant eyes. Be right back with you. Hey, I want to introduce you to a product that I think is very, very needed in today's society, no matter what part of the world you live in, and that is Covenant Eyes. What is Covenant Eyes, you ask? Well, it's accountability software, but it does more than that. It's a VPN. It provides really good accountability. Now, I've seen people say, hey, well, what about, does it work on this phone? Would it work on this? It works on all devices, all right? Nobody's going to get away with anything. It takes screenshots and sends it to your accountability partner. They say, well, why is this important? Not only is it important, I fully believe that this is essential for every person out there. So whether you're a man or a woman seeking freedom from porn, right? Or you're a parent and you want to protect your kids in this digital age, or you're a pastor or ministry leader and you want to ensure that those under you are accountable, then this product is for you. And you want to know something even better? Is that you can get your first 30 days for free when you use my affiliate link, which is in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen. And then when you check out, make sure you use code RESTORE30 to get your first 30 days for free. All right. In this digital age, you don't know what's going to pop up on your or your loved one's screen, right? Prevention is better than the cure. This is a product I trust. I use it myself just as an extra layer, right, against temptation. So use it today. Trust me, you won't regret it and you'll want to keep it. God bless you. Alrighty, back with you. No, it's really true. Everything I said. I mean, like I said, I don't promote products that I don't believe in, and certainly. So right there on your screen is the QR code. Use that or the affiliate link. Because if you're listening, there's nothing for you to scan, but you can go down into the link. Okay. Either way, use code RESTORE30. But it only works when you use my affiliate link. Okay. Use code RESTORE30. That is a perfect way, men, to be proactive. I'm sure that you can cut some expenses out of your life to afford this if you really want to protect your family and you want to protect yourself. Okay. It is I've been talking today about men and warriors and being proactive. Okay. And there's nothing more than women may despise different things in men, misogyny, things like that. But I fully believe actually what a woman despises the most, this is part of the fall and another part of what I'll call the unsaid curse, okay, is the very fact is a man who is passive, a man who refuses to step up and be a man. When a woman has to see a man do, or she has to step up to do his job, I can tell you that breeds wrath, that breeds bitterness, and all sorts of unpleasantness. And it's no wonder why you won't have a happy home. Okay. Now, we're not talking about happy life, happy wife. That's not biblical. We don't kowtow and bow down. And she's the queen bee and she runs everything. No, we're talking about in a biblical manner. All right. When warriors don't step up and other people have to pick up the slack. And when that happens, most of the times, what has to happen, right? Damage control has to happen. I mean, look at the United States of America right now, right? We have a wonderful administration, right? Not perfect. We have a new president, but look at the messes that they have to fix. Look at all the damage control that they have to do right now, right? We could have been making America, okay, better, but instead we're trying to make it great again. We'll not talk about the term, but anyways. But, for the sake of time and brevity, let's go over, right? We're talking about, the fear of the Lord. Women, that comes to you too. Women, I told you this was for you. All right. Don't be a Jezebel. Now, yes, I believe that term is thrown around far too loosely in a very unbiblical manners. But I think it's a very simplistic definition. I like to keep things simple, And we look over in 1 Kings, right? That's where we first see, that's where we see Jezebels in 1 Kings, right? And we see Elijah coming on the scene, but we see that Ahab, it describes as Ahab married Jezebel, right? He disobeyed God. Men, it's another lesson for you. Don't go marrying women who are not Christians, okay? You'll regret it. But he married Jezebel, a foreign wife, all right? Unequally yoked is a spiritual principle here. And what happened was the result is that now what happened is that he abdicated his God-given authority as king because he disobeyed God. When we disobey God, right? When you watch that pornography, right? You are abdicating your God-given authority. You have no God-given authority anymore. You think you do, but you don't. But women, all right? Because without a good woman, a man will fail. Let me make that clear. And a Jezebel seeks to control and dominate. So you see these women about being independent and I can do everything a man can do and all that. No, you can't. Okay. I said it before. I'll say it again, but let me reiterate this so that there's no misunderstanding. Okay. We are all equal in value, but not equal in function. Okay. We're all equal in value, but not equal in authority. Not everybody is president of the United States of America, for instance, right? Not everybody is a governor. Not everybody is the CEO. Not everybody is a COO. And women, I know, a lot of women hear this submission, oh, and they want to screech, but all the harpies come out when you mention submission. But it's not you being a doormat. When God created Eve, he created her to be his helpmate. Remember, God, and going back to the book of Genesis and looking in chapter 2, right? We see that God, it says God looked around and could find no suitable helpmate for Adam. So he creates Eve, right? So Eve comes alongside Adam, right? Well, Adam is the authority. However, they are co-laborers, right? It's kind of like the CEO and the COO of a company, right? The chief executive officer is the head honcho. And he says, and what goes. However, the company cannot be successfully ran if the chief operations officer, okay, is not doing his job. Same thing in a marriage. The husband is the CEO, while the wife, however, is the COO. So a family cannot be ran successfully if one or the other is not doing their job. And women, when you are not being a biblical wife, you say, well, my husband is that. Okay. Where in the Bible does it excuse you from submitting to him in a biblical manner? It doesn't. It's not there. You won't find it. Well, wives, submit to your husbands unless. There's no unless there. Women, you can destroy and you can tear down or you can build up. You can criticize or you can pray for your husband. Hey, no man is perfect, and I'm not dismissing the many problems out there. I'm not dismissing, for instance, even the pornography that is out there. And I can't, women, I understand, I'm not you, so I can't say I have a perfect understanding, but it must be horrible to live with that. Okay, when I was addicted to pornography, I saw what it did. Okay, but that still does not mean you get to abdicate your God-given roles. Every warrior is successful when they have a good support system. Going back to the military, okay, the army, right? I can go out there and I can pull triggers and shoot bullets. I can get on the radio and I can drop artillery. I can call in close air support, but none of that is possible without the support either. Who's going to provide the bullets? Who's going to provide the beans and bullets, right? Who's going to provide the truck? Who's going to provide the fuel? Who's going to provide the batteries I use? Who's going to maintain the radio that I use? Who's going to maintain the hand mic? You see what I'm saying there? And on and on and on it goes. There's no such thing as a one-man show. No one-man show is successful, friends. Women, you are essential to the success of your husband being a warrior. And if they're not there, prayer. Pray for him. Hey, let God know your frustrations. Man, this guy won't get off his, I just want to have a conversation with him or whatever. But pray for him. You want the change, pray for the change, man. But don't tear it down. And do not. Let me tell you to stop it, right? Because I know there's people listening that need to stop this. You better stop bad-mouthing your husband to other people. You better stop gossiping. You better stop every time you have an issue. Okay, you better stop calling up mommy dearest. You're tearing your husband down. You're just you've already implanted, maybe the mother, I don't know what view she has. But every time you call her up, oh, don't you know, Joe, he guess what you're doing? You're implanting and reinforcing how bad your husband is in your parents' minds. Now, I'm not saying never reach out for help. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, hey, if you feel the need to pick up the phone every time you guys got a problem, you're the problem. Yeah, I'm talking to you wives. Let me repeat that. If you feel the need to pick up the phone every time you and your husband have a problem, women, then you are the problem and you are tearing down your family. And you are undermining and you are living in disobedience to God. I don't believe, get ready for this one, that a wife can live, okay, in a way outside of God's design and remain a part of God's kingdom. Just like I don't believe that a man can abdicate his God-given role and remain a part of the kingdom. So I'm not picking one or the other. I told you that this show, it's called The Bearded Truth, about biblical manhood. But that doesn't mean that somehow women are somehow exempt from this. Women, you are essential. You are needed. Men, stop tearing your woman down. Stop ogling every woman that walks by. Stop doing that. Your woman knows when you do it anyways. It's called women's intuition. Right? Now, of course, I could mention a bunch of different things, but I'm just trying to lay out basic principles, and based off of those principles that are biblical, you can use them to better your marriage, turn things around, whatever needs to be done. Right? I'm not standing in judgment of anybody. Let me say that before we close out the show. I'm not. Okay. I'm hardly the perfect husband. I'm hardly the perfect father. Okay. I cringe. Oh man, if I were to start really thinking about the stuff I've done and said, I would probably break down and crying in front of you right now. So I'm not here to tear you down. And these are hard truths I have to face within myself as well, by the way. So I'm just giving you basic principles. Take those and just use them and apply them. You want healthy communication? think about the fear of the Lord. Is when I speak a certain way to my husband, to my wife, is that going to displease God? Yeah, we should seek to please God with our life. Shouldn't we be a living sacrifice? Shouldn't we working out our salvation with fear and trembling? Does not the Lord say that, right? If we can agree with that, and if we can agree on those basics, friends, guess what? You got a place to start. All right, and you're still married. Guess what? You got a chance. Don't waste it. One day that chance may run out, but today's not that day. I want to encourage you. All right. So thank you so much for watching The Bearded Truth or listening to The Bearded Truth. All right, don't forget I got different links. Don't forget, I don't mention this. I'm horrible at promoting, but there is the Bearded Truth merch. Now let me say that Teespring is having trouble with the people who print their products. I've been waiting on samples for a few weeks now, but it is out there. Check out that t-shirt right there. Check out that Bearded Truth hat right there. I think they're pretty cool. Also, so don't forget, if you want, check out the merch there. I also have a hoodie as well. But real quick, don't forget, I am prophesying tonight at 9 p.m. Central. So you can watch that on YouTube, Rumble, and X. YouTube is probably the best bet for you. You can subscribe right now. Go head over there, subscribe, and to make sure you choose all notifications. So you hit subscribe, and then go there again, hit it again, and it'll give you a drop-down menu. All right, choose all notifications. It's very important what I'm going to prophesy tonight. I am in no way a sensationalist. I try to keep things very simple. But if you want to look, I feel an urgency on this. That's why I'm prophesying tonight. I'm a busy boy today. I thank you all for you have been praying for my health, by the way. But you want to be a part of preventing World War III. Yes, it is that serious, and you need to catch the prophecy tonight. All right. But thank you all who've been praying for my health. Each day I got to take it as it comes, but I could not do it without your support. Okay. I could not do it without your prayers. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. God bless all of you. And God willing, I'll be back again with another episode of The Bearded Truth. And of course, I'll be back again with you tonight